All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our retro pay-per-view review series. It's going to be Super Brawl 4. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into it. February 20th, 1994, from Albany, Georgia. This was actually Bobby the Brain Heenan's first pay-per-view with WCW as a commentator with Tony Schiavone. Unfortunately, him leaving WWE opened up for him to come to WCW, which actually made watching their pay-per-views a little bit more interesting because he brought that same Bobby Heenan vibe with him.
Yeah, I wonder why they took Jesse off.
Who knows? There's conflicting stories when it comes to it. It's his version, Bischoff's version, and then there's supposedly another version out there.
Oh,
Why he left.
No, he's still in the company. He doesn't leave until July of '94 when Hogan.
Well, I mean, why he left?
Yeah, I was just curious about this pay-per-view, why he wasn't commentating. I don't know.
Maybe to bring in Heenan. I don't know.
I guess yeah, it's possible
because you couldn't have two heel commentators, and
yeah,
it would have been more interesting if they had all three.
Yeah.
But Heenan brought his vibe. It was weird to hear him talk negative about Ric Flair.
Yeah, it was. You're so used to him being in his corner. Yeah.
Obviously, that changes when Flair comes back to being a heel.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. There was a capacity crowd in this one, 7,600. Watch out. They didn't have that. They didn't have any seat fillers in this one. Now, this card was supposed to start with Johnny B. Bad versus Michael P.S. Hayes. Now, Hayes comes out in a wheelchair with Jimmy Garvin, and it was weird to see Garvin with the haircut, but then he was semi-retired at this point.
Right.
Fabulous Freebirds were done. Michael Hayes was just doing singles wrestling at this point. And he comes out with some cockamamie BS story that he got hurt. So Nick Bockwinkel, oh boy, this guy, he's in charge now as, I guess, commissioner. They gave him the role. Whatever.
Yeah, he was in charge. Whatever.
He's the camera figurehead, and so he announces that okay, fine. If you can't wrestle, Jimmy Garvin will wrestle in your place. So in about 45 minutes, get ready. So now this match would be later on in the card. So our opening match, oh boy, it was Thunder and Lightning versus Harlem Heat, Kane and Cole.
Yeah, they weren't Booker T and Stevie Ray yet.
I call them Booker and Stevie. I don't care. Now, the funny thing about Thunder and Lightning, now Lightning was Jeff Farmar, who eventually became the NWO Sting. There is absolutely no info on Thunder. Matter of fact, when they broke this team up, he left wrestling altogether. So he is like literally a cup of coffee, half a cup, and out the door he went. And what's funny is during this match, Bobby Heenan kept referring to him as Batman and Robin. I thought that was funny. It's Bobby Heenan, man. I'm telling you, he made the really bad WCW times a little better with his commentary.
A little more tolerable, yeah.
And something he did later on that I'll get into, I laughed. I actually watched this several times. It was just so hysterical. And so this one actually ended with Thunder had rolled up Booker. I don't know which one was Kane or Cole. That's why I'm going with Booker and Stevie at this point. He rolled up Booker. Stevie Ray gave him a kick. Booker reversed it, rolled him up, and Harlem Heat gets the victory. And this would actually be the start of some. Well, actually, it is the start because now Harlem Heat's actually going up the ladder, going for those tag belts, but at a time where they really didn't have many tag teams going on in WCW. They all pretty much had left. Steiner Brothers are not back yet. Road Warriors are not there. So it's a little chaotic, and the Nasty Boys are actually running the show at this point.
Right. Heenan had mentioned about the security. Actually, there was extra security backstage. He had mentioned that with the whole
with Flair and Vader's locker rooms separated from each other. It was funny because Mean Gene actually at one time tried to get back there. I'll get to that when they do the segment. That was funny. The next match, I only liked it because of what Heenan had to say. It wasn't about this match. Jungle Jim Steele versus the Equalizer.
Oh, geez.
Dave Sullivan, whatever you want to call him. During this match, Heenan had dropped the Hogan bomb. And this wasn't the first time Hogan's name was mentioned during this one. He had mentioned that Hogan was over in Disney at the MGM filming Thunder in Paradise. Yeah. because they had mentioned something about WCW Saturday Night, and that's when Heenan said, "Oh, well, yeah, a couple of doors down, Hogan's over there."
Mm-hmm.
And he said he had, yes, fate would have it, and he asked Hogan about Flair and Vader, and he got no response from Hogan.
Right, so they kind of like.
Well, Bischoff knew it was cheaper to actually do the Saturday nights there because then they could film like 30 shows and it would cost practically nothing. And then, of course, I know he did it because down the ways a little bit is a guy that he really wanted to sign and get back into wrestling.
I mean, I don't know. I would assume that it was just kind of like coincidence. I don't think that he.
I would, yeah. I don't think there was I would like to believe that because Bischoff has that type of mind, but I don't think that he's not that brilliant. If he was, WCW would still be here.
Yeah.
So I think it was coincidence, but once he found out, man, he just saw dollar signs in his eyes.
Yeah, I guess they're like kind of like teasing Hogan. At this point, Hogan hadn't signed yet, so I think Hogan. No. I don't know if they even had the conversation yet, but
it was not for another few months that they announced it.
Well, we know that. I don't know if Bischoff had already spoke to him and Hogan was thinking about it, or they were just kind of putting it out there just to try to garner some attention for WCW, maybe get Hogan thinking. I don't know, but either way, it was cool that they mentioned Hogan, and later, like you said, later on they mentioned him again.
Well, there had to be something to allow legally his name to be.
I guess his name. He's not showing up on the program. They can say his name.
Because I thought maybe if there was something like that binding that
he wasn't on the contract. He wasn't on the contract with WWF, so there's like no violation of anything like that. So
cool. I think they were talking to him right now. It didn't happen over a month or two. Bischoff had to get this relationship over several months.
Yeah. With the help of Flair. We got to get Flair.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And anyway, back to this match. His Jungle's, the hell's his name? Jim Steele. He wins the match over the Equalizer in like 6.5 minutes. He uses what's called the Steel Trap, which is pretty much just a Luthez press, and got the pin that way. This should have been a main event match, not a pay-per-view match. Yeah. And we're having, unfortunately, on the Super Brawl pay-per-views, we're having too many of those matches. So after this match was an interesting segment. It was Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Nick Bockwinkel and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Right.
Steamboat talking about how all the red tape he had to cut through to try to get a title match. And obviously Flair, fan favorite at this point, told Steamboat that if he successfully defended the title that night, he would grant Steamboat the title shot. Vader was reluctant, but Steamboat came out to announce that he would be the number one contender going forward. Mm-hmm. So, which is a shame that it took. It was a difference of 5 years before he got another title shot. I didn't understand that one.
Yeah, it's
It was one of those,
and he wasn't even on this card.
No, that's exactly. I don't understand why. He should have been, in my opinion. So our next match was Terry Taylor, just Terry Taylor.
Yeah,
versus got rid of Diamond Dallas Page.
They finally gave up on all the gimmicks, and they're like, "All right, you're just Terry Taylor. Just get out there."
I could have sworn that when he was coming down the ring, his head was doing a little bit of that. Yeah,
maybe your mind's playing tricks on you, like
probably. Yeah. Page, number one, Page looked out of shape in this one.
He was.
I think he was still trying to get into doing it.
Yeah, he was very green. He was very green. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any experience as far as in-ring work at this point, so he's just getting his feet wet. And
for a guy at 35 years old to do that and go as far as he did in a short time was pretty impressive.
It's amazing. He gets into really, really good shape later on, but right here he looks really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So this match is kind of like a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, it was just about 12 minutes. Page whipped Taylor into the corner. Page then misses going in. Taylor rolled him up for the pin, and that's how he gets the victory. So Terry Taylor actually gets a victory here. Doesn't need to be the Taylor-Made Man or the York Foundation. Just Terry gets the victory. So, following this, after the Page match, I don't know why they did this. Mean Gene had interviewed Ollie, pretty much his name, Oliver Muffler. German. He was an announcer for WCW International.
Yeah.
And so they pretty much did that because of Rude at this point is still carrying the international championship, which they made previous.
It's It's a damn WCW
Leave it.
NWA champion. I don't care what anybody
Thank
says.
you. They did say world heavyweight champion. I'll take that. He's still he's still the world. He's still the top champion, and him and Flair are right now top dogs. I don't want to hear it. If they're not going to recognize him, damn it, then
Yeah,
on this
no,
show we are.
absolutely. No question.
So the next match on the card now was Johnny B. Bad versus Jimmy
Johnny B.
Jam Garvin.
Bad.
And Garvin is another one right now. He looked a little out of shape because again he had left wrestling.
Yeah.
This team was winding down. Michael Hayes, this was it for him come '94 because '95 he's now Doc Hendricks selling T-shirts, and so it was weird to see Garvin in the ring, even though we know Hayes wasn't storyline injured. Whether there was something backstage or whatever, or if this, probably just pure storyline.
Yeah, I would imagine it was a story, but I really don't know.
It's not a rivalry that we would actually like dig into and care because it's Hayes and Bad. It's just, and this match with putting Garvin in there didn't help it any more. And it was another sunset flip off the top rope that gets the victory here. We're getting a lot of sunset flips and rollovers here. Johnny B. Bad gets the victory, and
then he gets his ass whipped after the match.
Yeah, because he went after Michael Hayes, who's in the wheelchair on the ramp, and Garvin comes out, throws him back in the ring. I was waiting for Hayes to get up out of the chair.
So was I. I guess he was hurt, at least storyline wise. Because you kind of figured that was going to happen, right? You kind of figured like,
we've seen this enough times.
Yeah. Well, I guess he really was hurt.
Either that or he's really sticking to the story.
No,
I don't know. So following the bad match, Mean Gene. This is when Mean Gene tried to get into Vader's locker room. And he looks at the cop, and cop's like, you can go in there if you want. And you see Vader's throwing chairs and everything, and Mean Gene gets in it. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Vader was great, man.
Yes, he was. He had a string of 3 straight Super Brawl main events, which was pretty impressive. I mean, he's the top heel right now in WCW. Now that Flair is a fan favorite. So, and Flair was, not Flair, Vader was great. It was just, when he got to WWE, they just didn't use him right. Or they brought him up to be a huge heel, but then knocked him down just as fast. So, our next match on the card was, oh my God, this one was a long one. For the television title, Lord Steven Regal defending the title against Arn Anderson.
Yeah, because this was a 30-minute. They gave us 30-minute TV title match instead of the usual 15. Yeah. I mean,
my God.
Arn's a great wrestler, I mean.
Arn proved that he has the endurance that he can go that long. And Regal has always been the mat wrestler, yes.
Technical wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, without criticizing it, and looking at the wrestling here, you actually did get a good match. Just a really long match.
It was long, yeah. It was a bit long.
I mean, this was 6 seconds before the bell that Regal cheated to get the victory. I mean, if you want to go beyond 15 minutes, great. Go beyond 15 minutes. Just don't give us the other 15 minutes.
Yeah, it just felt like they were killing time.
I think so. Because there were times during the match where I'm like, you could have just done something there or got the pin or come on.
It wasn't necessary.
Yeah. And, of course, Anderson goes over the rope, flips over the rope. Regal's holding on to the umbrella. He sits down on Arn Anderson and gets the victory. And this is funny because this is where Shivani had looked up and told Anderson, he goes, don't worry, you'll be champion again. And this is where this was the funny part. They start talking, Heenan's looking at himself and Shivani's like, you look good, don't worry about it. Now they got the cleaning crew coming by. The first person came by, but then there was a woman, and all of a sudden Shivani just starts laughing. He goes, you never know what you're going to see in WCW. Heenan looks over and goes, oh, you brought the missus. Right before they cut out on this, they had the girls around ringside. One got up and walked, and all of a sudden Heenan just forgets what he's saying. He goes, yo, toots, whistles at her, and I'm like, oh my God, this is hysterical. I love this.
Heenan was fun.
And Heenan, during the Regal match, kept asking Sir William, you've got the correct time, not Capetta. What's the actual time? Let me see that watch. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. I love Heenan. God rest in peace, man.
Heenan was gold.
He was. Our next match, I actually got a kick out of this, despite the fact that Max Payne didn't even look like he wanted to be there anymore. This was the Nasty Boys defending the tag titles against Cactus Jack and Max Payne. Now, if you look at Max Payne from Super Brawl, what was it, three, I guess, three when he fought Dustin, as opposed to what he looked like now, it's like, what the hell happened to you? He looked better a year ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
And this match, this was true Mick Foley, because at one point when the Nasty Boys took up the mat and he got thrown down to the concrete, I really thought he was dead. Because you heard his head hit that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course he's
Mick Foley.
got the probably the food coloring in his mouth to make it like it's blood. Although with that fall you could never tell. But oh my God, did you hear that smack? I mean, that man was just no wonder why he walks around this day saying he goes, I'm in constant pain. Gee, I wonder why. Poor guy, poor bastard, but hell of a performer. And this match was pretty good.
Yeah, it was
considering. Sags actually he used the guitar on Max Payne. The referees saw it. They get the disqualification. So Jack and Payne remain the tag team. I'm sorry, Nasty Boys remain the tag team champions. Cactus and Max Payne get the victory here. This feud is not over yet.
Unfortunately,
but it was a good match. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately. So now this next match again. Welcome to WCW, where shit doesn't make sense. You have a Thunder Cage match. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Right before that, I don't want to go. We had a Ric Flair.
It was a promo with Flair.
Mean Gene had interviewed Flair, and Steamboat. This is where they mentioned Hulk Hogan,
right?
And Flair said him and Hogan would be a big draw, but he was focused on Vader at this point, so he quickly changed it over,
right?
Not to get into fighting or challenging him, but I got to focus on Vader.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see a Steamboat Hogan feud.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Hogan had his list of people he would and would not work with. Remember when he got there and he won the title? He purposely said one belt, one champion. That was that was a slap in the face to Rude. That was because when he came in
about that, but
when he came in, he told them, "I only want one champion." I mean,
Rude gets hurt. Two. Yeah, I know Rude gets hurt anyway, but
I know
right before that.
For the year and a half, the two titles was working.
I don't know when did Steamboat leave? I don't remember when Steamboat left.
It was in '94.
Yeah,
I believe.
So maybe that's just because Steamboat left. Maybe we would have seen it if Steamboat would have hung around. You never know.
Maybe
because I'm sure he was friends with Steamboat. He knew him in WWF. So Hogan like working with the guys he knew, like Earthquake, Haku, those guys, Barbarian.
He had his list of I'll work with you, brother, and I won't work with you, brother.
Flair, yeah. So it could have.
That's why it shocked me later on that he did a feud with Kidman, because I never understood.
That was towards the end. I mean, that was towards the end. So
I just looked at that and go, wow, Hogan's actually really willing to work with Kidman and build him up that he's going to do a program with him. And I was like, that shocked me. Because, certain guys, I wouldn't expect Hogan to get in the ring with. Like in WWE, I would never expect him to get in the ring with Rick Martel because they're not in the same league, yet they did at Survivor Series 90. It was just certain guys I can never see Hogan work with. But Steamboat would have been a good one. Mm-hmm. Now, they had a six-man tag Thunder Cage match. Now, it was Sting, Dustin Rhodes, and Brian Pillman versus the World Heavyweight Champion, Ravishing Rick Rude, the United States Champion, Steve Austin, and Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, I mean, these are all Hall of Famers. I mean, it's superstar talent on paper. The only thing I wish that they would have broken this up because they stuffed all the talent, like, in the last two matches. Like, they put all the talent, like, you get a six-man Hall of Fame crew. Great match, don't get me wrong, we'll get into it in a second. But I just felt
think they should have broke it up.
The card kind of, I feel like the card kind of suffers because of this.
If they use the double main event rules, then this would be the first half of the double main event, but still you could have put this a match or two back so that you don't have one cage match on top of a cage match.
No, I just meant splitting the guys up, like, having them fight each other in singles matches as opposed to just throwing 6 guys in there that could have, had their own matches and own feuds, but.
And what didn't make any sense is a cage is down, which means no disqualification. Yet, okay, They're actually having a tag in and out. The referee is counting a 5 rule here. Meanwhile, Tony Schiavone said no disqualification. So why are we counting here? Why is the referee? Why aren't these 6 guys beating the crap out of each other? And just the referee just counting the fall. I don't understand this. You just put a regular match into a cage, but then the next match, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't know, but we got the whatchamacallit, Hollywood Blondes versus each other on opposite sides.
Yeah,
So that
you
was
see
cool.
that. You see, he made the
Yeah.
the mimic to him,
hmm
which it was a shame that they broke up, but their rivalry was actually pretty good. It
Yeah,
helped both of those guys, and of course, classic. Once they get the WWE, made it even better. But I mean, this match was I enjoyed it. Other than the weird rulings
yeah.
in
No, it was a great
this,
match.
they said the only way you could use the cage is if they went over the top rope, then go ahead and throw them into it. What are we doing here?
I don't.
Uh, I mean, and then it ends with Sting throwing Pillman onto Austin, and that's the 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, and then Rude beats up Sting using the Rude Awakening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That feud would never get old.
Oh no, 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 no. It's
Never get
one of
old.
the
Those
best.
two. Yes. And Rude Steamboat, Rude Sting, his best 2 feuds in WCW, hands
hmm
down. And yeah, like you said, 6 of the top guys. Yeah, we should have broken it up. This should have been a one-on-one, I believe, between Pillman and Austin.
Yeah.
And then even if you had to put a tag team match between the others, go ahead and do it.
Right. Yeah.
But when you're just throwing all
Would have
6
made.
guys into this
I just felt it would have made the card better and get rid of some of those other
and
garbage
have one
matches.
straight Thunder Cage match,
Yeah.
or just one, because the main event was the only one that was needing of it.
Yeah.
And of course, the main event was almost null and void because Flair had gotten hurt on the Clash of the Champions in
Right.
January. They took it away. Flair got his doctor's note, so they reinstated the match. But they used a special guest referee in this, which would be the Boss.
Yeah. They had
Which, by the
delayed the
way,
match.
several times, Big Boss Man was used by them, and there was once they said it, there was the silence, like, oh shit, we fucked up. Because when
Yeah.
Boss Man came out on his first pay per view and they used Big Boss Man, that's when Vince went, oh no, no, and I believe he hit them with a gimmick infringement or something
Maybe.
where they had to change the name, so they went with the Boss, and unfortunately, Boss Man's career in WCW was crap, mainly because they couldn't find the right gimmick for the man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it was cool having him in this match though. But yeah,
Yeah.
they had delayed the match because the Vader had beat up Flair when he gave him that superplex. He gave him a superplex. I think he might have Vader bombed him too or something. And Flair did a great job at selling it.
It was a suplex off the top rope, and they talked about the plane crash.
The plane crash, but it does happen. I love how Flair came out. He came out like a house of fire. Started punching Vader. I mean, Vader was awesome, man. He's just a great heel, and he worked very stiff. It looked real, it looked legit. Just great stuff. Great match.
Oh yeah, I like they handcuffed Boss Man. I'm just gonna say Boss Man because it don't matter. They handcuffed him, so him and Harley Race are just having it out with him, and then all of a sudden, Boss Man just
Well,
breaks that open.
what I didn't understand though was like, how do you handcuff the referee? That's an automatic like DQ. You're out of here.
But I don't think there was any DQ in this
No,
one.
I know. So what? You could just beat up the referee, and that's like,
Maybe that's why they put the Boss in there.
I guess I don't know.
Because from this became the feud with Vader and Boss Man.
Yeah.
Because at one time they do have a number 1 contenders match where he's involved. It was a triple threat match.
Yeah.
But they had a short feud after this.
These guys, I mean, Steamboat comes out to try to help.
Oh,
Vader had already beat him up, I think, like prior to this. He had attacked him. I guess that was like he was sending Flair a message, I believe. That was the reason for it. He comes out. I'm yelling at Steamboat. I'm like, just climb the damn cage, man.
Him and Arn came out.
Yeah, and they're there. Like, I'm just like, climb the cage.
Just climb. You can get in there.
Right. And they're like, oh, they can't get in.
They're worried about the door. I'd be climbing it.
But I know, seriously. It was a great spot when Bossman got loose and started just clobbering.
Beating the hell out of
the nightstick, and he started clobbering Vader, and And Harley
he hit
Race,
it.
right? It was
Yeah.
Harley Race. Yeah, yeah.
Now here's where the discrepancy came in. He hit him with the nightstick. Flair puts the figure four on, and Boss Man
He
just
couldn't get it
automatically
on
wins.
at first, though.
Yeah, he had a little struggle.
Yeah.
Boss Man went for the belt. Heenan's saying he didn't give
Yeah,
up.
he
He
didn't
didn't
quit.
give
Yeah.
up. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, so there was that discrepancy going
Right.
forward. But I thought that was funny after he got loose. Yeah, I'm wailing on everybody. I don't
Then
care.
these guys get in. These guys, somebody finally gets the lock cutter.
Yeah, it was what's his name? That the head of security. He's always there. Doug Dillinger.
It wasn't Rufus.
Nah, it was I think it was Dillinger.
Yeah, they get in.
All of a sudden, they have the bolt cutters.
I'm like, you should have done that a long time ago. I love how Vader just flips the hell out after the match. He goes ballistic.
Oh yeah, and this is proving and showing how dominant a force he is. This is why he's main evented 3 straight Super Brawls. I mean, I thought even through '95 that Vader was still a badass, and I mean, there was nobody that could compare to him. Once Ric Flair turned heel, now you got the two of them working together conveniently. That was always funny.
Yeah, definitely so.
They're either fighting together or they're teaming. What is this, Cactus and Abdullah? Come on.
Pretty much. So I mean, overall, I mean, it's a decent pay-per-view. I mean,
the last few matches were it helped the card along. Just again, they booked matches that didn't belong.
Yeah. So
as usual.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys let us know what you think. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.